You are welcome to your health guide. My name is Dr. Issa. We have been discussing addiction, and it's something you may not notice. You may not be aware. In fact, you may not even identify you're already obsessed with one particular thing or the other. So, like we gave our definition, it's not just a substance or a drug. It can be a behavior, it can be an activity, it can be an act that's affecting you now psychologically or that's harmful to your physical being. When it gets to that, sometimes you do not even notice. So let's go further. Today we are looking at causes of addiction. Now, it's known among the experts that there's no unified cause of addiction. So it's unknown, and then therefore it becomes difficult also to have a universal definition of what addiction could be. So there's no agreed definition of what addiction is. So, but the latest version of addiction also categorizes those three categories we tell you: substance use disorder, impulsive compulsive disorder, or behavioral addiction disorders. All of these are put together as an addiction. Beyond that, you also realize that it has some things to do with human being, either it runs in the family. But unfortunately, science is unable to identify a gene for it in the human genetic sequence. That means that it is there in general because you have twins that behave with a form of addictive behavior or pattern. Similarly, you see somebody having an addiction that resembles his father or his mother. So they have addictive personality. Addictive personality, you begin to see it when some of these traits begin to appear. And that's why you will be able to know that you're already running into trouble. Number one, when you have an impulsive behavior, that's something that you're just used to it. And everybody's complaining that, Mr. Man, oh, madam, there's this thing you do. Somebody come to walk into you and tell that, and you're unable to drop that. That means there's a problem. Now, you see, non-conformity. There's a rule of doing something that is stated somewhere, but you find it difficult to conform with that rule. Beware, you begin to have an addiction to the one you are used to. Again, lack of interest in achieving your goals and achievement. You set goals, and at a point you just don't have interest again. It may be an addiction. You get used to it, continue failing forever, and you're not interested in why you're not failing, and you're not even interested in getting an answer to your failure. So that's an addiction. Then you have what is called high stress levels, whereby you're used to doing very high activities continuously. Addiction and brain can be a very, very terrible problem. So that's where the issue lies. Why do you remain addictive? The way it goes like this, it's a cycle. There's what we call the unpleasant withdrawal following what you have been used to. So when you get used to something, it develops a particular chemical in your brain, and that chemical makes your brain satisfied. You derive some pleasure. So this is why you achieve kind of euphoria. This euphoria remains in you, and so when you don't get to do that thing, you get depressed. So what you want to do is that you want to continuously sustain that pleasure act, and that's why you continue to crave for that particular thing that gets you derive some pleasure or gives you some kind of false happiness. So once that begins to happen, that tells you that automatically either that substance or that act or behavior has become an addiction. So craving now leads to a high motivated to use the same substance again and again. That's why we call it reward cycle of the brain. The brain is dependent now on getting that reward of pleasure, and the brain wants to avoid that displeasure feeling when you are not taking that thing. So this is where the problem lies. Now, the simple thing that's very common in our society is caffeine. Caffeine has been found in so many food or so many drinks we consume today, and then you realize you're used to it and you cannot do without it. Remember, the phone in your hand, you see how much you check it regularly. It's an addiction that when you check and somebody gets a message, you feel happy. That happiness in you, you want to continue to sustain it, and you keep checking your phone. Or maybe those of you that takes some kind of tea early morning that you're used to it. If you don't take it in a particular morning, you are not active throughout that day. That tells you that you're addicted. Or some of us that take some kind of fruits that are very, very addictive. So when you take them, that gives you a kind of satisfaction. That is the cause of addiction, because your brain is used to that thing that stimulates it, and then it doesn't like not to be stimulated. So you want to understand this, you can reach us on 08023311868. Thank you very much.